a lo largo de esta semana. Saludamos a Ross Gerber, expresidente y CEO de Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management. Ross, thank you for having us a few minutes.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Ross, starting with central banks, ECB's Chief Lagarde sees a strong chance of a rate hike this year. We started to see a little change in her speak last week, but it's still uncorrelated to market expectations. Members of the ECB last week talked about a first rate hike in July. What do you think about it?
Well, I think many of the industrial economies like the ECB in the United States are seeing inflation, and it is time for these economies to normalize rates so that we're not creating even more inflation. But it's also offset by the COVID problem in China and the fact that China is now going into a recession from locking down their entire society and being such a large consumer buying base. That will definitely slow the global economy. So I think this is a very tough time for central banks, and they don't want to be too aggressive, but it is time to begin raising rates.
And talking about the Fed, next week all the attention will be on Fed's monetary policy meeting. 50 basic points hike is on the table. How far can the Fed raise rates to contain inflation?
So yeah, we think the Fed should do 50 basis points, and the Fed's a little bit behind the curve because the 2-year Treasury bond now trades at 2.5%, and yet the Fed funds rate is still extremely low. So we see the Fed needing to get to at least 1.5% to even be in the game for dealing with inflation. So we're going to see a series of rate hikes over the next several months, and I think that this is what needs to be done, and by no means should be considered negative or in all scary. I think where investors need to worry is when the Fed starts raising rates above 2%. That's when I think it will get harder to determine the future outcome of the economy based off rates and economic activity.
And this week, tech giants as Apple, Microsoft, or Amazon will release its quarterly earnings. What can we expect after especially the Netflix's stock plunge last week?
Yeah, Netflix's stock plunge last week was somewhat overdone after the company actually beat earnings expectations and continues to be highly profitable. And we're going to see the same types of things from the tech giants where they'll have very good earnings reports, but they'll all try to guide down expectations for this quarter, whether it be Apple with supply chain issues in China or some of the other economic issues, as well as the hit from the Ukraine-Russia war, which will affect the tech companies to some degree. But we still expect really good numbers from these companies and just really, really guided lower expectations so that the market doesn't get too ahead of itself and what the second quarter looks like. There's a lot of uncertainty that was in the first quarter when the war started in Ukraine, and also as we move through the second quarter, what's going to happen with rates in Ukraine and now COVID in China. So I think because of the lockdowns in China, we're going to see a lot of tempered comments from the tech giants this week as this is affecting their operations.
Now we are paying special attention to a possible acquisition. Twitter is in advanced conversations to sell itself to Elon Musk. The deal could be closed today, on Monday. What would it mean for Twitter?
Well, this is a great moment for Elon and the Twitter community because essentially Twitter has been a sort of like drifting boat without any direction or guidance. And clearly it's been heavily manipulated by foreign actors like Saudi Arabia and Russia. And so what's happened in the last couple years with the manipulation of our elections and now with the war and such is that Americans have taken a much more serious view of how we're being manipulated through these mediums. And Elon has taken the initiative to buy Twitter to really protect the asset from this foreign manipulation. And so I think this is a great moment for Twitter, and I think there's a lot of improvements that Elon and what will be a new management team will make in the Twitter platform, and it will have substantial upside, and that's why we're investors in Twitter currently. Although it is a small investment, I think Elon will do great things with the asset, and I think the deal will get done.
Well, a great moment for Twitter. Thank you so much, Rose Gerber. As always, thank you for your time.
Thank you.